Welcome to the RVA Returners Podcast, your number one source for all things Final Fantasy TCG, sponsored by Ultimate Guard.
Name of this episode is Gone Fishing. Don't forget that.
Okay.
Don't forget that. We're starting with some kind. Well, not starting with it, but it's going to end on a slight low note. But then we're going to get back to the highs. But Adam, you know it's always a high when we're here for the RVA Returners Podcast, folks. I'm your host Chris Adams. With me, as always, Adam Lane. Say hi to everybody.
Hi, everybody.
Yeah, so we are. We had a little bit of internet issues yesterday, at least myself in particular. So we started recording last night, but it kept cutting out, and we were like, you know what, fuck it, let's just call it. So here we are, Tuesday afternoon, getting ready to go ahead and get this thing squared away for the week, and we got a lot to talk about. A lot of spoilers have happened. I know we missed a week. We had a Crystal Cup this weekend. There was an event over in the UK. A lot of huge announcements had happened. I don't know where to begin, man. There's a lot. There's a lot to talk about here. And we got some things going on here on the returner side, over the course of the next month. So some small changes, some temporary changes. But you know what? We'll dive into that. But Adam, we're going to go to where we like to go. And that's never going to change. It's a safe place. It's an informative place. I think you know where we're going. Your silence tells me everything. It's the news. All right. So we've had a lot of spoilers in the last couple weeks. Now, we don't want to spend most of the time going over all of those. So what we're going to do is actually just kind of pick out the ones that are the most noteworthy. Because we're actually going to do a live stream. The set should be revealed on Friday, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Should be, yeah.
So what we're going to do is we're going to do a Returners, kind of roundtable live stream discussion. And we're going to do a full set review. Just some early impressions, kind of like we always do. And we're going to do that live Friday night, assuming the set gets spoiled, which it should. So what we're going to do is just for the time being, we're just going to go over the notable ones from the last couple weeks. And Adam, where are we starting?
Yeah, so we'll start with Sid Alstein. And these are notable ones that we think are very solid. Some people might not agree with us, and that's fine. So Sid Alstein's a 3 CP ice backup, EX burst. When he enters the field, you choose one forward. If your opponent has 2 or less cards in their hand, you dull and freeze, and if they have no cards, you break.
Card's nutters. I think this card is really, really good. Now, does it replace the forward? I'm going to say in a lot of decks, yes. Maybe not in every ice deck, but I think just the fact that Kuja exists makes this card something that you just really are going to have to think about. And the fact that it's a 3 CP backup. It does exactly what the forward wants. And it also has a little bit of extra, so they can no longer do like the I'll draw a card or something. Even still, if they're drawing a card, even though the target's not dying, it's still getting dull and frozen. So you're still getting some value out of it. And also, there's a lot of new forwards in the top end of ice. So being able to slot out a forward for a backup that now is probably going to see its burst is a little more relevant. I think that's a fair trade. What do you think?
Yeah, no, I like it over the forward in pretty much almost all instances. The only weird thing is that it costs 3, and Ice is pretty picky about its 3 CP backups. Mm-hmm. But Sid Alstein's already been kind of getting cut from a lot of builds anyways, for the most part. And I think this does what that forward does, but pretty much better. Just you lose the 9K body, which does suck a little bit, but with Kuja you can replay it, and then also you have the chance that the burst is going to hit more often, because right now against a good player you're not hitting an Alstein burst unless they have to go Hellbit before they swing for some reason.
Yeah, which you don't do unless you, like you said, you're literally trying to get a body out of the way to swing favorably.
Yeah, but you can get a player with only 2 cards in their hand on their turn, so that's something you can easily do.
Exactly. So I think the card's much better. But yeah, we'll go on to the next. It's another ice card.
Yeah. So the next one we want to talk about was Vayne. It's a 5 CP ice legendary, 9K. All forwards your opponent controls gain at the end of your turn. If you don't pay 1, break this forward.
I was a lot higher on this card when it was first spoiled. I think what's unfortunate is the name clash is so huge. The old Vayne is just such an important card right now. Because with even with Diabolos being what it is, people aren't scared of playing big bodies, and that's all Ice is. Ice is all big bodies. I think this vein has a really neat effect. I like it. It reminds me a lot of like a reverse tabernacle of Pendrell Vale from Magic, but it's nowhere near as good. I like it. I can see it as like a one of maybe, and so it's worth playing with and trying to see if you can actually get it to pop off. But I don't know. Adam, what do you think?
I like the design. I like that it's not just an ice card that Dolan freezes and discards. Like,
Yeah.
I want to see more of the tax effects. I think those are cool. I think there's like a space in ice that's not really getting pushed that hard.
Mm-hmm.
And so I like seeing more. However, I think people are overrating the card for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's okay. I think you could play it as a one-off, but I think the other vein is just a better card.
Yeah.
This feels more like a win more card to me.
Mm-hmm.
It feels like you're not playing this card when you're behind. You're not playing this card early. You're only playing this card when you're ahead to slam out a game. Because, like, if you play this card in a game trying to come back, I'm just going to swing out and kill you most of the time. Or I'm just going to be in a position where maybe I can afford to pay. If it was at the end of your turn, this card would be ridiculously good, but it's not. And so it kind of gives your opponent a full turn to answer it. And then I'm not like a Magic player, but I did see the card that a lot of people compare it to, and that card's way more busted than this card.
Big time.
So for one
Big
thing,
time.
that's a land. It was free, and it was upkeep instead of end of turn. So those two things to me are huge differences than paying 5 for something in this game. That's a forward that's way easier to remove. But his effect is cool, and I can see people will play him.
Yeah.
Like, he's good enough to see play. I personally think he's being overrated.
And it's just tough when, if you look at Ogie's list from the Crystal Cup, and Chris Lopez will tell you too, you're running 3 veins for a reason.
Yeah, like you got Veritas and all these other big dudes in the meta. Even through all the Diaboluses, some of the big swingy cards are still 5 and 6 CP.
Yeah, most decks get 3 Diabolus. That's enough to kill your 3 Orphans, but you still got 3 Kujas, you still got Allstains, you still got Fina, whatever. So, yeah, card's fine. I think people mess with it, but I don't know where it goes. So, up next, we got a fun one.
Yeah, so this is another Class Hero Cadet in the set. It's Deuce. She's a 1 CP 3K. Probably the best 1 CP forward I think I've ever seen in this game.
I agree with that. Well, I love Vivi, but Vivi's
that's true.
But Vivi's extremely specific.
Yeah, Vivi might be better than this, actually. I forgot Vivi costs 1, because I see him so much. So what she does is the forwards other than Deuce you control gain 1,000 power, and the Job 0 cadets forwards you control other than Deuce gain 1,000 power. So basically she's a double anthem for cadets, and she's another single anthem for wind. For all elements. It doesn't necessarily just need to be wind forwards. Which
is awesome, because, she's cheap, which is great in a Veritas meta, because you have a turn where you play her, if you've got Marie on the line, you've got like a nice it's a 2K power swing, which can be relevant. And then it's like, they play Veritas, that's fine, I'll get rid of her. And I do like her at the fact that, she's just a great Phoenix target. That's, when you think about it from a damage standpoint, that's almost like a 4K power swing, kind of. But I think the card's good, and it has good applications outside of cadet decks.
Yeah, the 1K could be pretty relevant outside of cadet decks, like in conjunction with Maria too. Now you're looking at 2K. It's probably not as good as Lease, because Lease is a little bit harder to remove, but it's also only 1 CP. So
yeah,
I think she might be fighting for some slots, but probably not in like typical lists. I think it's going to be some different list, and maybe cadets make a comeback, and she's definitely in there.
Beyond a shadow of a doubt, absolutely.
And so next we got the Lock, who ended up being a light card.
Oh man, they pulled a fast one on us on this one.
So it's a 4 CP AK Treasure Hunter. At the beginning of your main 1, reveal the top 2 cards of your deck. Add 1 Category 6 character among them to your hand, and the other on the bottom of your deck in any order. And then when Lock attacks, the Category 6 forwards you control other than Lock gain plus 2,000 power until end of turn.
Oh, man. I'm going to say this. This is one of the title cards this deck needed for that push, because he's literally drawing you a 3rd card pretty much every turn in title.
Yep.
So I think he's excellent there. He's a no-brainer there, and it's always more, it's always good to have more Mirage dives, which is always good. In Standard, I don't know. I just don't think that, because you're not playing this guy in Ice, because the other Lock is just head and shoulders better. The only other deck I could think of where you're playing this guy in Standard is if you're playing like a mono fire 6 list with like Sabin, Duncan, Cyan, Shadow. But what sucks is like if you're playing it like that, which isn't great already because you lose all the payoff cards, your Setzer, your Nanosids, and all that. But he is a 4 CP, so Meath kind of becomes a good searcher there. But I don't know. I think the card's cool. It's definitely a title card. I don't know what kind of splash it makes in Constructed or Standard, if any.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to make much of a splash in Standard at all. It sucks that he's light because you can't even discard it for CP.
I know.
So if you're playing him in Fire Ice as S fodder, you're better off probably playing the other one.
Yeah.
Sad as that is to say.
Mm-hmm.
I think in Title you played 9 locks.
Oh, 100%. Because
sure.
they're all getting you something.
So that seems good there. The 2K buff, even in the Ice Fire deck, is kind of whatever, right? Because Lock's already so big in that deck.
Yeah.
And then you got Genesis is getting big.
And Lease is
and
there.
Duncan is big. And Sabin can get big. So, they don't really need to get bigger.
Mm-hmm.
And then, Lease on top of that, too.
Yep. And the only reason I like him in a mono fire 6 build is because you can use his ability, and then you can Sabin special without having to worry about losing any of your guys.
Sure, and they have Brave in that list probably,
right?
But it is,
it's a stretch. We're digging.
It's more of a fun list than a competitive list. That
for
we're
sure.
talking about.
That's a Tuesday night locals list for sure.
Yeah. So next up, I think this came out at the same time as Lock actually. Is 4CP Ravis, category 15 EX burst.
Mm-hmm.
When he enters the field, you choose a forward opponent controls and dull it. And then when he enters the field, choose a forward opponent controls. If the number of forwards your opponent controls is greater than the number of forwards you control, dull it. So if you're behind on board, he can dull 2 things.
Yeah, I'm bummed because it's a 15 character that's not in the color that you want, just for that. I think it's fine, but I feel like if I'm behind, I don't want to dull things. I mean...
Yeah,
I don't know. It's kind of like Amon, right? And Amon just kind of disappeared off the face of the earth. So I mean, the burst is nice. Maybe a good limited card if you're looking to turn the game around. But I don't know. I don't know where this guy goes.
Yeah, I think he's a solid limited card. I think he's okay. I don't know how much play he really is going to see, but he's interesting. Yeah, I think Amon might be better though, just because of having that dull on demand once he's been out for a turn. Whereas this guy's just going to dull 2 things. It just seems like almost like a worst Alba.
Right, and I also feel like, too, if there's a new card in this set that I'm playing that I can get that dull effect, I'm playing that 12 standard unit that whenever a lightning forward comes into play, I get to dull something. Because now I can build board advantage and still do what this guy's doing. I don't need to be, behind. Though, to be fair, I think they'd be neat in conjunction. You have that guy out, then you play that. You could potentially dull, their whole board with those 2 guys.
Yep.
So, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, maybe that's the play. Maybe it's you have that guy out, you play Ravis, you dull 3 things.
Yeah.
Because if they have 3, you just dull their board.
Yeah, could be good.
Yeah, I don't know. It's kind of tough. I mean, maybe that's a different Mono Lightning deck. I'm not sure. I kind of hope we see more stuff that changes Mono Lightning because they've been the same probably for a long time.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
Next card is new Begamnon. He's a 5CP 7K Job Headhunter. Job Headhunter forwards you control the Begamnon game 1,000 power, and then when he comes into play, he searches for his buddies, and he can play one onto the field. So it's Kajuk, Bogwi, and Renok. I think we've seen all but one of those. Yeah,
we have. I actually like this card a lot. I'm actually really, again, being a sucker for Final Fantasy 12, I'm actually really interested in building a Headhunters list because it looks like you're playing Earthfire. And I think that's a list, and since all the other ones are 2 CPs, you immediately start looking at Baby Phoenix, and then even cards like Cryo. Because I know the other 2 that we've seen, you kind of use them in combo to pretty much do 10k to your opponent's board, assuming you have 4 Headhunters. Right. And then, I feel like you can just use these little bodies with conjunction with Baby Phoenix and Cryo to get Cryo specials off. And the fact that, we've seen these 5 CP 7Ks before, but never one that literally just puts something on the field. Even though it's only a 2 CP, that's still good value. You're getting 2 bodies on the board that potentially could do something, especially if you put the one in play that you pay an Earth and the next damage dealt does double. You could play Begamin, put that guy into play, and Hecaton share with that guy, pay an Earth, and potentially put 12k on something. You know what I mean? Because it'll be a 6k because of Begamin. So, and all these cards are common and rare. So I think it's a neat budget, minus the Phoenix and the Cryo, obviously. I think it's neat. I like the card. Definitely going to be a budget fun build, but I think Begamin's a good payoff card if you're looking to pay Headhunters. Play Headhunters.
I wish the 10k or the 5k boards damage was a little bit easier.
Yeah.
Or maybe the next guy's a backup. That would be really sweet.
Oh, if the next guy's a backup, we're in business.
So
we're in business.
Because having to have, and then I can't remember if the other guy said specifically forwards too. He might.
He says 4 job headhunters. I think he says just 4 job head. Well, we could actually look right here and see.
Yeah, if not, I mean that's pretty good. I think he's the fire one.
Yeah, he is. Right there, it's the one that says FFTCG. Yeah, that one right there. Oh, it is forwards. Okay, so the other one's got to be a forward.
Yeah, the other one has to be a forward for sure, which is kind of a bit of a bummer because I think if one of them was a backup, it would be really, really good.
Yeah.
But like it's just like it's the reason you don't see the starter class outside of title. It's just too hard to get that kind of board amassed.
Yeah.
So I need to have 4 forwards to wipe my opponent's board, and then I have to hope that you can't kill one of my forwards.
Exactly, and that's why, like I said, if I'm playing the deck, I'm putting in Cryles and Baby Phoenixes just to have a backup plan for that pretty hard. But if you get it off, you'll feel great.
Yeah.
But that's all right.
So next up is one of the Summer Cup, I think, spoilers. Mm-hmm. So it's a new Famfrit. It's 6 CP, and it's basically a double Famfrit that affects monsters.
Man, the old durable Famfrit. So, but the thing is, this one actually hits monsters.
Yeah.
I think this card's really, really good. Yeah, it's expensive, but, we kind of said the same thing about Veritas. But what's cool about this one, it hits monsters, and Water doesn't really have an answer for something like Scale Toad. And, is this something, just think about this for a second. If you're playing it in the Ice-Earth matchup, and you're playing or you're playing Mono Water and they have Garland Scale Toad out, that's pretty rough, right? Mm-hmm. Do you feel bad about rolling this out for 6-5 if you have rare unit? Do you feel about rolling this out to make them sack both of those?
I mean, maybe that's good. Yeah. I mean, that's probably a good thing to hit. And it's something that deck has to be careful of. Mm-hmm. I already kind of think that Scale Toad's a tad bit overrated, to be honest. I think unless you play it at the exact right time, you end up kind of
yeah.
Sometimes it's super annoying. Don't get me wrong.
Me.
But sometimes it's just there and you can't play it and you don't have time to play it. Garland's kind of like that too. You play Garland early game, Garland's good. Mm-hmm. You play him turn 20,
he's poop.
He's not doing anything. He's a small body. Mm-hmm. He might get to freeze something. He might last a turn to get to freeze something the next turn. I think this card's okay. I think the other Famfrit's better.
Oh, sure. The burst is huge, and
the burst, the discount, and sometimes I don't need to hit 2 things. Sometimes it's just the one. Yeah. Now, this becomes better when people start trying to protect themselves versus the smaller one when they play those 2 forwards out to try to not have to sack their priority forward. Mm-hmm. But I mean, I don't know how much play it's going to see. It's obviously not bad.
Yeah. Well, because also, too, Water decks are using this and 3 Veritas, so you've already got a bunch of that effect already. So this may be overkill. I think the card's good, but I agree with you. I don't know where it sees play, and I think just with the Water builds right now, you're loving your Choo-Choo Lanes, you're loving Leviathans, there's just... And they have burst, so you're loving that, too, but, I don't know. I could see them maybe slotting in, 1, maybe 2 of these. Because it's great with, Porm, right? You sack your stuff... You sack Porm, you get this thing right back.
Is this that much better than Sildra? Really?
That's true. That is very, very true.
Yeah, because at least Sildra I get to pick what I return. Costs the same. Mm-hmm. But yeah, they can play it again the next turn. This will kill it, which is nice. Mm-hmm. But it's not like Sildra's seeing play for this to replace it.
Exactly. So it's neat. I mean, I don't think it's going to light the world on fire, but I think it's a good card.
Yeah, I do like it. I think it is solid. I don't know how much play it's going to see.
Exactly.
That's kind of where I'm at on it.
No, I agree with that.
Oh, do we not have the Ice Dragon? Oh, here we go. Yeah, so the next one is Azure Dragon Lassie Soryu. It's a 5 CP EX Burst Ice Legendary forward. I think it's a 9K.
Oh, yeah.
This EX Burst is when it attacks. Reveal the top card of your deck. If it's an ice card, add it to your hand. It's not even drawing.
Yeah.
It's just an add.
Which is great.
And then it has 2 abilities. Discard 1 ice card, choose a character, freeze it. Discard 3 ice cards, choose a forward, break.
This card's really good. It's really, really good. Just the fact that, it's... What am I trying to say? I think this is the card, you're looking to replace forward Sid Alstein with. Because it lets you do something with the dead cards in your hand, like the dead backups. The fact that you're you're drawing a card without the word draw a card every turn, and when it flips on burst. It's just a nice card advantage machine, and the fact that you can just all right, well, we'll pitch 3, we'll just break that guy, and then we'll swing through. The card's good. I think the card is really, really good.
Yeah, this is a mono card, right? It's a 10k in that deck. 10ks are hard to defend. It has more abilities than that. It gets a card just for attacking unless you get really unlucky and you draw your dark card or something. Yeah, I think it's really good. I think it is kind of slow, for sure. I think that's what people are saying, but you have to kill this.
Well, and here's the thing, too, right? If you look at ice decks, they're playing backup snow. This thing attacks, dulls something, draw a card, and it's a dead backup. Y'all just freeze that guy and just dulled with snow.
Yeah, it's like an orphan at that point.
Yeah, and then you can just be like, and you can do it more than once. So like, then you swing with your next guy. Yeah, we'll dull that guy. Yeah, I don't want that guy getting back up. Yeah, I'll discard this to freeze that guy. Like, you can literally lock your opponent's board down every turn. It's so good.
Yeah, I think I think it's a pretty insane card. I think it's a lot, in my opinion, it's a lot better than Vayne.
Oh, by a mile.
Because I think you absolutely have to kill this card before it gets out of control.
And when you see a guy like that, when you see a card like that, you thank God the old Vayne exists, so that guy can't attack and keep generating those cards.
And it's a burst that draws a card in mono ice. Not many things do that. Mm-hmm. So.
And it doesn't say the words draw a card, so if you're playing against like the Ice Emperor, it doesn't matter.
Exactly, yeah. The only downside is you have to reveal it.
Really that's fine. That's okay.
But yeah, I think the card's nuts.
Yeah.
Next up these are the spoilers that actually we spoiled over the weekend at the Richmond Crystal Cup. Mm-hmm. So the first one is Yang. He's a 4 CP AK monk. When he enters the field, you choose a forward to end the turn. It gains 2,000 power and brave. If it's a monk or a card named monk, till end the turn, it also gains when this forward attacks. Choose one forward opponent controls, deal a damage equal to this forward's power.
Man, see, I like this card a lot, but it's always gonna have a special spot because this was like the card that we had been joking about for months. Because with a 4 set, I think Earth needed something. It's not as good as I would have liked it to be. I'm gonna start there, but I think it's a fun build around card. But the fact that we've got a Yang that does something, and you almost treat this Yang like a summon, right? You still get all the perks and privileges of playing a Yang. So you got a 9K Ursula that can go along with this. The fact that he makes Duncan and Sabin pretty gross.
He makes Duncan extremely gross.
Dude, he makes Duncan the legend he should be. Like, you play this guy, you swing with Duncan, 10K Brave, I'll kill that. Oh yeah, I'll go ahead and special that guy for 10K.
Yeah, he lets Duncan take out 3 forwards potentially if they decide to block.
Oh yeah. Oh, if they block that guy, it's lights out. He's like dead. And then also too, like we were talking, because this is something we're thinking about brewing, like, because we're suckers for Earth Fire. This guy with Godot is really good because you can play him, target himself, swing with Godot, give him haste, and now you're like, all right, I'll swing with Yang and kill something or whatever.
Yeah, even in that archetype too, you don't even need to Godot. You can target himself. You can Belias if you want.
Yeah.
For like basically at that point he becomes a 6 CP 11K with haste, first strike, brave, and fights on attack.
Pretty good. Hey, look, that all sound. If that was all printed on a card, I'd subscribe to that.
Yeah, I just like him alone with Duncan as just a summon.
Yeah.
And you also have Sabin in that deck. You don't have to go all in on monks. You could play like one Mott or something if you really want to get that far into it. But I actually think this card's a lot more solid than people are giving it credit for.
Yeah. I think it's fun.
Yeah, I don't think it's like gonna break any like crazy things, but I think in Earth Fire is extremely good. Yeah. And if that archetype is good, I think you will see this card.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what though, because if we get a Fire Monk backup in this set, then Mott becomes like the corner piece of that deck. So you can just fix your colors and then go to town.
Yeah, it has to be something that's like not generic either. Like he can kind of search like the backup like monks that we have now, but they're kind of like
They're kind of oof, yeah.
Yeah. So next is new Ice Summon Zalera. So 1 CP Mobius summon. Choose a dull forward of cost 2, 3, 5, or 7 and break it.
This card is fucking unfair. This card is good. This of the cards we got spoiled, this might be one of the best ones. Just because from a value standpoint, it's like kill Sephiroth 1 CP, kill Locke 1 CP, kill Chilinko 1 CP, kill Laswell Sid Reigns 1 CP, kill Sid Allstain, kill kill Kuja, kill Sid Allstain forward, and then we're looking at other elements. Kill Cecil 1 CP, kill Ignis 1 CP. The list goes on and on. Like the value you get from that is insanely good.
Yeah, the one thing I do like about it actually though is if this becomes like just an insane card, which I think it's really, really, really good. It makes Brave a better keyword.
Oh, 100%.
Because most of the time, I think you're just going to spend 1 CP when they attack you, and you're just like, break it.
Well, yeah, also, too, like, if you're playing backup snow, I'll attack all that dead.
And but to me, that's a little bit more fair, I guess, in a sense, is because they've spent 4 on their backup, and then they're spending 1 more to kill that thing. So at that point, they come out even. Yeah, the more times you swing with snow, that's obviously not true.
Mm-hmm.
But I think in most decks that you see this, or even most times you see it, I think they're just going to wait till you attack, and then they're going to be like, break.
Yeah, exactly. And it's especially now we were talking, your opponent has one backup Edward up, and you're on the attack. What card am I holding? Am I holding the Silent Verse, or am I holding this bastard?
Yeah.
So I think it's a good card, like an insanely good card.
Yeah, I think it's really solid. I think it's probably one of the better spoilers we've seen in general.
Yeah, I agree.
Now
the question is, do we think that's like a 3 of, or maybe a 1 or 2 of? Do we treat it like Mateus from?
It might fall down the line of Mateus. I'm not sure, but I think it definitely has a spot. I think it's better than Mateus.
Yeah,
because it prevents your opponent from attacking, not so much as like bluffing it to to like block and whatnot. So I don't know. I think it's a little bit more dangerous because I don't know. It's tough because it's kind of the opposite, right? Mm-hmm. Like it's going to break an attacker instead of breaking a defender, but it is cost specific.
Yep.
So
and it's also great, like if you're able to, and also too, like you don't feel terrible if you waste 2 of these to kill a Lua. Sure. I wouldn't feel bad about that. 2 CP kill a Lua. That's an amazing rate.
Well, if you have your snow out already too, you just target her and then you break her.
So good.
So yeah, the only thing that doesn't hit right is just your 4 CP targets. That's really it.
Yeah. And there's a lot of them, but like the fact that it gets a lot of there are some high profile 2, 3, 5, 7. Yeah.
Oh, I mean, I think most of them are there.
Yeah.
So and Dodaluma leaving that leaves a big 4 CP. Like the biggest one I can think off the top of my head is Yuri.
Yeah, absolutely. So. Yeah. And speaking of 7 drops.
Yeah, so there's a new Fusoya. He's a 7 CP lightning forward, 6k, so he's pretty far under curve. The cost required to cast summons can be paid with a CP of any element. Mm-hmm. When Fusoya enters the field, you choose one forward opponent controls, reveal the top 2 cards of your deck, deal 1,000 damage for each CP required to play the revealed cards, and then add the revealed cards to your hand.
This card does a lot. I think it's a really, really fun card. Obviously, technically when you break it down, you're looking at a 3 CP 6k, which is pretty normal for Lightning. Mm-hmm. That's pretty normal. I love the fact that you can get real tricky in Lightning decks. You can, this in conjunction with something like Seymour or Arisha Alrasha to toolbox your summons out. I think what the negative stuff people are saying, because there are people that think this card is insanely good. And then there's some that think it's kind of, average. But I think this is cards like this. That, you said it earlier. You want people to have a reason to play different Lightning cards. Well, this is definitely it in my opinion. Yeah. And I think the fact that this in conjunction with like the 8 CP Kane, you're like, oh, you flip that thing off the top when he comes into play. It's like, oh, you're just dead. Yep. Or even like if you flip the 6 CP a day, you're like, all right, well, 6 to that. Oh, I just flipped a 3-drop. Well, here 9k to that guy.
Yeah, he kind of works in conjunction with the Kane too, because if you're on 5 backups, you can dole 3, pitch 2, play this, and then if you have the Kane in your hand or the Kane's on top of your deck, you can easily play the Kane off the other 1 backup, sacking the other active backup to discount Kane to 3, killing 2 things, and swinging the board back in your favor. Yeah. So I think he's a really cool card. I think the first line of text is probably the least interesting. Yeah. As crazy as that as a sound. I guess if you want to play like some kind of like lightning water, like rainbowy type summon deck, you can. Yeah. But I think you can play him without even abusing that and still be okay. Lightning does not have a lot of card draw, and this basically draws you cards while removing something. Yeah, and then if you're playing like Lightning Ice, play this guy, Renoa, you've literally drawn 4 cards. Yeah, so... I think he's good. I think he's going to be a fun build-around card, and I can't wait to see what people do with him. Yeah, I think he's a pretty big brain card. I think it's going to take a little bit of time to figure out how good he is. I don't think he's bad, but he's definitely a really fun card for sure. Yeah, I agree. And like I said, that's all the spoils we're going to cut. No, we have one more. We have one that was spoiled today. The Moogle, yeah. So it's a 3 CP... 7K. It's a standard unit. It's Moogle 12. Yeah. His category is 12, right? His name is actually Moogle 12, category 12, standard unit. When he attacks or blocks, he scry 3. Yeah, you can look at the top 3, put them on the top or the bottom. I think that's a really neat effect. Anytime you get to dig and filter and sculpt the top of your deck, I think that's good. And the fact that he's a standard unit, I think this guy screams Carbuncle. Again, I know we say that a lot around here, but that's what a lot of these forwards that have weird abilities like that's a great place for him, because you're going to be attacking with him, you're going to be blocking with him, and Carbuncle just kind of hits the sweet spot.
So why would I not want to attack with this guy or just block with him? Look at the top three. Yeah, I'll set up my draw next turn, or all of these are crap. I'll put them on the bottom.
Yeah.
You know, I think it's neat. I think it's a really neat effect. Not lighting the world on fire. I think the card is definitely solid.
So I think it is lighting the world on fire and limited. I think this card is
100%
stupid and limited.
Mm-hmm.
This guy's probably going to get to attack or block and limited almost every time you play it.
Mm-hmm.
Being able to filter 3 cards in limited, it's nuts.
Yeah, and you can choose that. You can put 2 on top,
Yeah,
one
it's just
on
like
bottom.
Scry.
Yeah, it's so good.
So in limited, I think he's absolutely insane. I think the potential for 3 color decks with this card is pretty cool too.
Yeah.
The fact that like I know I can look and see what colors I need and then kind of put them where I need to.
Mm-hmm.
And then in those decks, I have like draw spells or Vikings or something, so I'm able to get colors online.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that's good because I don't know if 3 color decks are going to be good. I really want them to be good, but I don't know if they're going to be
Well,
yet.
if that one lightning forward that we decided to conveniently skip over is any inclination, then they're not.
Oh well, yeah, Livia is who we're talking about, and she's pretty bad.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think it's a good card. I think it's extremely insane and limited for sure.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, it'll be fun to see. And like I said, we're going to be spoiling pretty much the entire set on Friday when they release it. We're going to have the full roundtable video. It's going to be a lot of fun. But speaking of a lot of fun, you know, we did have another announcement that was made at the Richmond Crystal Cup. I don't know if you watched the end of day 1 coverage. RB sat down with me at the stream and we announced the dates of Nationals, World, and the Last Chance Qualifier. So the Last Chance Qualifier I know is at Coliseum Games, which is, I know that's where Vince and a lot of those guys play out in Los Angeles. That's on October 18th. And then Nationals, I don't know if the venue's been set, but I'm pretty certain
Probably
it's going to be where it's always been.
Yeah.
And that's on the 19th and 20th. So you got 3 days in a row of, just like it was last year, LQ one day. If you win, I'm sure if you win that or make top 4, you get to play Nats tomorrow. And then you have day 2 of Nationals. And the top 4 from Nationals, obviously, you get to join the Worlds team. Segue, speaking of Worlds is November 23rd and 24th in Los Angeles. I would assume it's going to be in the same place that Nats is.
probably.
That's a safe bet. So that'll be excited. I know we've got what, 5 players now on the Worlds team. There's 7 more
Yeah, because 4 at Nats, 2 at Gen Con, and 1 more
at Arizona.
in Arizona.
Yep. So there it is. And so the team will be assembled, and it's going to be a good time. So if you're in that area, I don't know if I know Nats is usually pretty closed door for people. Not Nats. Worlds is pretty. Nats is closed door too, but Worlds extremely closed door for anybody who's not on the teams. Really excited to see what happens there. So just keep those dates in mind. If you've already qualified for Nats, go ahead and mark that on your calendar. Start looking at your flights if you need to. If you plan on attending the Last Chance Qualifier, make sure you get there a day early. And if you're already on the Worlds team, make sure you've taken out. That's Thanksgiving weekend like it was last year. So that might be a turnoff for a lot of people. So just make sure that if you're already on the Worlds team, you've got that figured out. I know family's important.
It's probably going to make airports suck.
Oh,
too.
dude, that's what I'm saying. So you would probably want to fly to LA. Try to get out there maybe a day or 2 before.
Well, I think Square's paid for their tickets, right? So they.
Oh no, that's going to be awful.
Yeah.
Oh man, but that's all right though. We'll see what happens. But those aren't the only events. Those are the official events. Now, I don't know if you saw. I believe it was today. Meta Potion announced that they've got their. I know they've been talking about doing some sort of event. Well, they just announced the date for the Las Vegas event that they're doing.
It's called the Summoning.
The Summoning, yes. And that's on November 9th at Darkside Comics in Las Vegas. So that's a fun event. I may look to try to go to that one. I like Vegas. I've always had a good time out there every time I've been. And maybe this might be the one that I try to go to because obviously Worlds may be off the table. But if I can get out there and see those guys around that time, that one might be a little more conducive to my schedule because it's going to be a hard sell trying to get off around Thanksgiving,
Yeah, for sure.
But if something happens and maybe we potentially can get commentary duties for Worlds, that's a different story because the lady will be like, "Go get him, Slugger." But so those are the events coming up. Make sure you mark your calendars. Obviously, the Arizona Crystal Cup is coming up as well. That's in September, I believe, September 13th through the 15th, if I'm not mistaken. So, again, mark your calendars. A lot of events still coming up. Wave 3 LQs are coming up soon, too. There's a lot happening in the community, so check your calendars. Find something near you and just go play. Also, too, Opus Opus 9 pre-release is this weekend coming up for a lot of people. I know we've got a couple in our area. We've got some coming up the following week before release. So Opus 9 is here, and that's something we're going to be talking about next week on the cast. We're going to do our typical Opus 8 retrospective. But let's move back to the present. This weekend, there were a couple of events. The first one was across the pond. It was the Summer Cup. Now, don't really know much about what happened over there. I know Alex Hancock was doing commentary.
Yeah.
It looked like a really fun event. I know JFB was there. I believe a mono Earth deck won the event, but I don't know.
I think it was like they had a bunch of different format stuff. I think they had like a 2-deck format. I think they had like a team event where you put 25, each player brought 25 cards and you combine them together.
You've done that before.
Yeah, and it was a bunch of fun stuff. It seemed more like a fun event.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't get to watch much of it because we were basically working, right?
Yeah.
So I guess if you want to check that out, definitely check out Square's Twitch VOD. They probably have it up.
Yep.
Like I said, I think I heard that Mono Earth deck also won, but there might have been a second deck like within the 2-deck format. We're not really 100% sure.
Exactly, and a lot of times over there, Mono Earth's a solid like backup deck to have. But and then also too, the other event that took place was the Lightning Crystal Cup, and we're going to dig into that because that's going to be our main topic. We did have as a side event on Sunday, we had our 7th Soldier Series event, which was it was awesome. We had a huge turnout for that.
It's like 46.
Yeah, it was big. It was pretty much if anybody came back for day 2, they pretty much played in this event.
Well, so it was 115 people at the event. There was top 32. They couldn't play in the Soldier Series, and 46 people played.
Yeah.
So most people came back.
Yeah, exactly, which is awesome. I think that's really awesome. Now, obviously, if the ones weren't doing so well, they dropped and because they were people that were there, like, oh, my buddy's in top 32. Yeah, I'll play. Wait for them. And if they were doing bad, if they were doing okay, if their buddy got knocked out of top 32, they were like, I'm done. It's time to drive home.
Yep.
So there was a lot of that, but this one was actually won by Brian Berkeley.
Yep.
Now, the one thing that I feared would happen having a Soldier Series would be that somebody from extreme out of town would win it. Because now he's invited back to our Soldier Series Tournament of Champions, which will include draft, double deck constructed, and as far as the prizes go, they're definitely going to be worth it. But me and Brian Berkeley, I hope he can make it. We don't have a date yet. It'll definitely be after Nats, probably after Worlds, before like the next competitive season.
Yeah, probably sometime in the winter.
Exactly. So I hope he can make it. But a cross country flight's a pretty tall order. So he did. And when we were going to dinner on Sunday night, he had actually asked me. He's like, "If I don't show up, would that really put you in a pickle?" And I said, I was honest. I was like, kind of. But I would love to have you make it. But again, I realize a cross country flight isn't exactly something you can just be like, I'll just get that today.
Yeah, worst case, we pass it down, right? I think Alfred got second.
Right.
And then we can figure out who got third if Alfred can't make it or something.
Exactly. If not, I've got the top 8. So if there's someone in that top 8, I can pass it down to whoever can make it at that point. Yep. So it wouldn't hurt if he couldn't make it. I just want to make sure that I want to make sure I have the winners of this event there because it's going to be a good tournament because you've got listen to this lineup. You've got you have Curtis Kang, you got Colin Rupert, you've got Stephen Arboleta, you've got Muhammad, you've got Lord Byron, Ryan Galloway, and Brian Berkeley.
Yep.
Like that's a stat 7. Like that's going to be a great event. Like if all of them can make it, then we've got one more. Who knows who's going to win that one?
Right.
There's still a lot of killers out there. We've got 2 of the North American Worlds team playing at this event.
Yep.
So it's not going to be a walk in the park. So we'll go from there, and we'll see what happens. Again, congratulations to him. I know it was him and Alfred in the finals. They decided to split, I believe.
I think so.
But Alfred wanted the cloud figure that we gave away, and Brian wanted everything else. So we've got the custom play mat we're doing for him is going to be great. He's told me what he wants. I can't spoil it because I know Oki's listening. And it's I'll tell you when we're done.
Okay.
So
I have a good idea, I think.
You probably do. It's a Kodak moment for sure. So that's really all the news. We're going to kind of dive into the event we had this weekend, and that was the Lightning Crystal Cup. A lot of highs. There were some lows, and we're going to address all of it. We're going to just kind of we're going to make sure we would be remiss if we didn't mention everything that took place. As far as the event goes. We had 115 players there, so pretty much everybody but 5 people showed up.
Yep.
And I know 2 of the people that signed up. One of them was Mike Hunsinger. He just couldn't make it. Cody Snodgrass was another one. He just couldn't get the time off of work. pretty much what happened to me for Kansas is what happened to him for here. He just couldn't get the days off.
Happens.
Yeah, so that's 2 players right there that would have, I think would have had a good weekend.
Yeah,
for sure. So overall, everybody showed up. The event was good. It was run. The store was packed.
Yeah,
the store was absolutely packed.
We had a Magic pre-release at the same time.
Several. There was a couple.
There's a lot going on. Yeah, I'm pretty sure there was like 4 or 5 that happened like during the event, maybe more than that. Yeah, I guess first let me touch on the streaming because we did stream, and I actually want to apologize, to be honest.
Oh, dude.
Because I feel like it wasn't really up to our standard.
Oh, not at all. We've been beating ourselves up all week over it.
Yeah, I mean, we had some quality issues. I don't blame the team at all. I think as a team we did as much as we could. Mm-hmm. But we definitely had some quality issues for sure, and I'll take ownership of that. We had glare issues on the stream. Mm-hmm. The camera in the back might have not been the best looking thing. Mm-hmm.
Well, the area we were in definitely wasn't the best looking thing.
Yeah,
and it was tough, right? Because we had, and I'm not going to sit here and make excuses, but there was a lot of confusion coming down the home stretch. Because what's unfortunate is our Final Fantasy guy, Daniel Jones, there was something that happened at work, and he no longer worked at the shop. Mm. So pretty much the guy who had organized everything from jump is no longer there. Mm. And at the last minute, we've got people saying, hey, I'm going to be the guy to talk to for this. No, I'm going to be the guy to talk to. And we had initially thought that we were going to be able, because Battlegrounds has a streaming rig set up for like tabletop gaming. And up until like the day before, we were like, yeah, you guys can use this equipment. If you got to put something on it, you can do that. But then like the night before, when you go up there to set up, all of a sudden that completely changed. And it was like, you've got to use your stuff. You got to use your table.
And the guy was really nice. He let us use like his lighting rig. But the sad thing was we couldn't really cut like a lot of the lights off that we needed to.
Because of the Magic pre-release.
Yeah, and so that kind of was a little frustrating, but I mean, it is what it is. Mm-hmm. The only thing that I feel really bad about is I feel like our quality in Tampa was much better than our quality at our home store.
Yeah, and that hurts.
And it does hurt me a little bit for sure. But it's just I'm aware of the issues we had, and I know some people are probably aware of it too. And I appreciate the compliments that we have gotten.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, like we kind of leaned into it. Yeah. The refrigerator in the background definitely became the MVP of the weekend. Shout outs to JFB for that. But our commentary was still on point. We definitely covered the matches like we always do. It just sucks. We had a lot more downtime than we intended. The backup stream match pretty much stayed frozen the entire weekend, which sucks because that would have. But also, to be fair, day one,
almost every time they finished before the first match even finished.
Yeah, so that's not too much of an issue. The backup camera freezing wasn't too much of an issue. The only time it was an issue was on day 2 when the top 8 matches, like the mono water match was the one that finished first.
Yeah.
So it was like, well, here we are.
Yeah.
And the draft took a little bit longer. It got started a little bit late, so we had a bunch of downtime that we didn't actually know was going to happen. But with that being said, I do want to give a huge, huge thank you and shout out to the judge staff. Sam Prime as the table judge just killed it, knocked it out of the park.
It was the best judged event I think I've ever seen or been to for this game.
Yeah.
Sam made sure everything was clear, cut, dry, draft went smooth. Mm-hmm. Andrew Good and Gabe were constantly monitoring things. Sam was constantly on the table judging. So
super fair, super non-biased, because I know he was even telling me if you go back and watch the stream, anytime Muhammad was on stream, he actually would look at his opponent and say, I know he's my teammate. It is okay if you would like to have another judge on the staff judge this match to prevent bias. Like to me, that's huge.
Yeah.
Like that's a show of good character. So I think the judging was great. The commentary was great. The stream quality itself is something that we are not happy about because it's not what we're about.
Yep.
And the fact that it was our home store hurt. Like it really, really hurt.
Yep, I agree. I posted on Twitter about it. I definitely take full responsibility for it for sure.
Yeah, and that's the thing, man. We do it all together as a team, and we could only the issues were things that we had zero control over, and I think that's what hurts the most because we put this event together with the store, and I felt like we just kind of now. And I don't want to sound like I'm throwing Battlegrounds under the bus. There were some things that they kind of dropped the ball on, but also too they did provide a lot of excellent prize support on top of what Square did, and They did well in some areas, and there were some areas that I think could 100% be improved on. But that's a story for another day.
Yeah, so we could go from worse to worser.
Oh yeah, we were kind of dancing around the toilet bowl.
Yeah.
Now we're in the U bend.
So with the judging upgrades came more warnings, which is a good thing.
Yes.
There was a lot more warnings being handed out for just maybe not keeping up with the board state, maybe a mistake that both players caught, maybe a mistake that one player caught and then was called late. Those are being handed out and tracked now, which is awesome.
Primo.
That should be something that continues to happen. I hope it continues to happen. I love the fact that it was happening. It doesn't matter if it's purposeful or not, and that's what we're going to get into in a second.
Yeah.
If it's wrong, it needs to be corrected, even if you didn't mean to do it.
Yes.
Right? I mean, even if it's an accidental thing that you did, you still have to be punished for it.
It's nothing personal. Like you were saying last year at Nats, you literally forgot to write the word cactuar on your deck list.
I put 50 at the bottom. I only put 47 cards in my list, and I forgot to put my monsters.
Yep, and you were ready and prepared to take a game loss for it.
I was.
And I think the fact that now that is being tracked, so if that would have happened again, then maybe it would have been okay, he's done this twice kind of thing. You know what I mean? Not to be using you as an example, but people understand what we're trying to say.
Yeah, no, it's fine. And then again, that was an accident, but you should be punished for messing that up. I should have paid more attention to what I was doing.
So you should always pay attention to the deck that you're registering for a super competitive event. Segue, Adam. Why don't we go ahead and talk about pretty much what became the elephant of the weekend? And I'm gonna lead with this. A small. I hate to say it, but I felt and it's no way excusable, but I felt this what you're getting ready to talk about. Took the heat off of how bad the quality was of our stream, and I hate that that's the case. This weekend was marred with issues that make us extremely unhappy. But go ahead and talk about it.
So basically, we're not going to use any names, but there was a player that had 5 copies of EX Benfilia in their deck. It wasn't caught until round 6. This player called the judge on themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And
it was 5-0 at the time.
And at the time it was 5-0, which was basically guaranteed for day 2 at that point. And the penalty that was awarded was that he lost round 6 and then replaced the cards with the cards he was supposed to and play round 7, which basically guarantees for day 2. It allows him to keep playing.
Yep.
Let me start by saying the judges ruled this according to the rule.
Yep.
The rules state, based on this penalty, that only a game loss can be awarded. You could make an argument that maybe it invalidates the other 5, and could be a valid argument, but I think the judges ruled this the best they could.
Based on the rule set that they've been presented.
I don't think the judges could have done anything better. I think the rule sucks. I think that even though he didn't mean to, because I don't think it was malicious. I think it was just an accident. It was just didn't think about it and somehow didn't. The only thing that looks a little fishy is that it wasn't caught until round 6.
Right.
But I don't think it was done purposefully. I don't think this person put 6 Benfilias in their deck on purpose. But it's still bad.
Right, and it makes you feel bad if you're on the bubble and you lost, or you're on the bubble because this person is not. If you're in seed 33, you're probably pretty
which was
upset.
Amanda.
Which sucks because she's definitely come a long way.
Yeah, she was playing really well. But yeah, I mean, we can't dwell on it either. We have to move forward from it. I think if you want to be mad about something, be mad about the ruling. Be mad about the rule itself.
Yep. And there's a great article.
It was an awesome
that was
article.
Posted by, I believe, Robert Meadows posted the article. If you haven't read it, you need to read it, because you'll find that most other card games operate the same way until after the tournament. Usually post-tournament is when there's investigations and they make determinations whether they can prove intent.
I think the biggest thing that sucks is that it wasn't caught until round 6.
Yeah.
And
that's what's got people heated.
Yeah, and we can maybe try to figure out a way to make that better, but I don't put the blame on the judges or anything like that. So I mean, it is what it is. It sucks. It makes the tournament look a little bit worse.
Yeah.
But I mean, we have to just move forward through it, I think, and I'm glad that we have more judges now, and the judge tests are being taken. I took it myself this past weekend. Hopefully, I find out that I pass soon.
Yeah, and I do think having larger judge staffs at these events will allow for deck checks between rounds. That having an official judge staff now should be able to allow for just constant enforcement. And if you include random deck, which is so weird, like at the Crystal Cup in Boston last year, didn't they have random deck checks?
They did.
And maybe that's a lot. Maybe that's a lot to put on, especially
and Nats too. They had it.
See, and I think that's something that maybe got lost in the shuffle this year. Because I think if there was random decks, who knows? They could have nipped it in the bud before it became a thing. And again, I don't want to dwell on it. It sucks. There's no two ways to it. But now we know that it happened.
Well, the thing is, too, just as a counterpoint, even if we had random deck checks, it's possible this person might not have gotten deck checked, right?
Absolutely.
You can't check all 120 deck lists in 5 rounds.
Yeah,
it's
you
not
definitely
gonna happen.
can't.
So it still might not have been caught. Obviously, it could have been caught earlier for sure. It's definitely something we probably should look into doing.
Well, I also think, too, you look at other events, it's tough. Like, maybe you should start looking at making you register your deck the day of or something. Force you to do a handwritten sheet the day of, before the event, during the registration.
Well, so the thing is,
I don't know.
If you're like me, you're just going to go to FFTCG and...
That's what I do. That's literally what I do.
So, that might not even help the player from finding out. But, again, it is what it is.
We don't want to beat the dead horse. It's been...
I would say don't attack the people involved. Yes. I would say be more upset and try to force a ruling change.
Right. And let's just try to move past it as a community. I'm not saying disregard it, but just be aware that people know, the powers that be know, and hopefully something will change moving forward. And that's the best you can do. No one likes to think there's a fox in the hen house. So again, let's just do what we can. Let's just be bigger. Let's not put your pitchforks down. Let's just try to improve the situation as a community.
Yeah, so I guess we can move into the better part of the tournament, which was the event itself.
Yeah, the event itself was great. I had an awesome time, and I want to give a huge congratulations to Matt Okimoto. He finally did it. 5th time's the charm. And you called it. He was your pick.
Yeah, we spoke 2 things into existence this weekend.
God, how amazing is that?
And Okimoto qualifying.
We did it. Teamwork makes the dream work.
So, huge congrats to him. I'm glad. He's been grinding probably harder than anybody this year.
Yeah, and he was talking, it was like a ladder. He was like top 32, top 16, top 4, top 2 winner at every Crystal Cup.
Yep.
So, and it's good. I think... him and Chris Neal are both the only returning Worlds players from so far. Now, I think when you have a player like Oki, who is kind of the backbone of the North American community, he is the household name. When you think Final Fantasy TCG North America, Matthew Okimoto is the first name that pops up. So you want to have you almost want to look to him as like the captain of the team essentially, because he's going to be the one to and even with the newer players you still got Colin Rupert, you've got Lord Byron. You've got Sam Toole. These guys all have an incredible work ethic, and I think they're going to gel very well with Oki when it comes to testing and making sure that North America makes a really strong showing this year. And
I think so,
awesome.
Too. I'm excited to see it for sure going forward. And let's not sell who got second place short for either, because Muhammad killed it.
Dude, monster weekend.
First player, to my knowledge, in a Crystal Cup or any tournament of this size to go undefeated both days leading into the top cut.
Constructed and Swiss. He did not drop a single game.
Yeah.
The first game he dropped was against Kyle Peters in top 4. He dropped a game, but won that match. And then he lost to Oki.
Yeah, 2-1.
So that's a monster day. I guarantee Muhammad will be on this Worlds team before the dust settles.
Yeah, I wouldn't doubt it.
And you couldn't ask for a harder working player.
Yeah, he puts the time in. We know we play with him a good amount.
But we didn't even make it home that night because Muhammad was at dinner with us. We hadn't even gotten our food yet before he's talking about the event and what to do next time and the mistakes he made.
Yep.
The dude puts his plays under a microscope and gets ready for the next one. The dude is hungry, and he's a guy, if you're sitting across from him at a tournament table, you are going to get nothing but top level play almost at all times. Now, if he makes a misplay, trust me, he knows it. You do not have to tell him because he will tell you first.
Yep.
So, congratulations. Again, top 8 was actually really diverse too. And, obviously the event was won by Mono Ice. Dude, okay, so let's talk about the finals for a second. We had Mono Ice Final Fantasy VI versus Mono Water. I felt like I just transported back to a year and a half ago in Opus 5. I'm looking at Forward Setzer on the board. I'm looking at 2 Opus 5 Scholars. I'm looking at Orphan. I'm looking at Vayne. Looking at Locke and Big Celis. What the fuck is this game?
Yeah.
Really, really cool. And, of course, that makes me happy. I'm really glad to see Forward Setzer. And the fact that, all of that was brought together with the snow backup, like it just made Sid Rain such a like snow backup in that deck was just, I felt like that was like the MVP.
I felt like he was heavily teched for water.
For sure.
I mean, not just water, obviously other things too, because I mean, the veins are going to hit things like Phenas, like Veritas, which is not just in mono water, Cecil, Cloud, like all these kind of staple cards for all these elements.
Yeah, all these stalemate, like put up the wall kind of cards.
But it also works really well against water because you hit things like Lina, like Cloud of Darkness, like Veritas, and then you have cards like, you have 3 of Zalera. You have Sid Rains, which is really good against Layla Viking because, sure, you go to 2, but now you're going to kill one, make them discard a card. They're forced to kind of have like the Famford answer at that point.
Yep, and then they usually follow that up with like a big Celis, so the one that didn't die to Sid Rains is going to die next turn when Celis attacks and dulls it and does 4K to something.
Yeah, which with Snow is really sweet. Even the baby Celis did work the first game.
Oh yeah, with Snow, it's dull 2 things, freeze 1 if it does damage. It's really good. And shout outs to Chris Lopez because I want to say that was his list.
It was his list. I think 1 card difference.
Yeah, and was it the Bard? I think. Or
I don't know what it was. I think Oki got his updated list and then maybe changed 1 card.
So yeah, the deck was really really good. Clearly, because I want to say he was like third going into day 2,
and he had a really good draft deck too.
Yeah,
I did see a little bit better draft like working throughout. There was still some stuff that was a little bit questionable, but that'll still flesh out. But I feel like from what I saw of the draft decks, they were a bit more balanced this time, a lot better. It felt like more people were better at draft.
Yeah, and people who got a bad draft deck, they knew it because if you look at when they make you register your draft list, you're like pile of garbage, good draft deck. And I mean, like these are the names they would give their draft deck: pile of trash, piece of shit, pile of trash. Well, and then you look at it, it's like, yeah, they're right. Like poor Colin Coughlin, he was like, my deck is trash, and I think he went 1-3 in draft
Something
or 0-4.
Like
he
I think he won 1.
Yeah, he did not have a good draft day, unfortunately. But speaking of that, the returners team actually had a really good showing. We had Colin, Curtis, Steven,
CJ's he's Calder technically.
That's fine, but still, Virginia.
Yeah,
Virginia.
Well, Muhammad too.
Yep, Muhammad.
At that point.
But like our team, we had 3 players?
Yeah, Curtis, Colin,
Steven,
and Top Cut.
Yep.
Curtis missed the bubble by just a little. I think
he finished like 11th.
I think if he beats Nick in the last round of Swiss, he probably squeaks in.
Yeah.
Like where Doolittle kind of squeaked in. It sucks, but it is what it is. Then we had a couple people bubble outside of top 32.
Yeah, Johnny was. I think Johnny finished.
Brian, I think, was right there too.
Yep.
So it was a pretty strong song. I'm pretty proud of what everybody did.
Yeah, absolutely. I know Ron couldn't actually make the event. He had family obligations, but he came day 2, played in the Soldier Series. Did okay. I want to say he was in top 16 to 20 of that.
Yeah.
But yeah. But overall, I think it was a good event. Now, there were some really interesting decks. I'm going to tell you right now, I'm going to lead into it. The most exciting deck of the weekend was the 1-turn kill rain deck that Paul Pham was playing. That deck was fucking exciting to watch.
It was pretty sweet, yeah. It was obviously like the missing key from the decks that I've been trying to make, which was rain. I never tried rain. I tried like Luneth and some other hasty things, and then I tried like the value game where you wait a turn with like the chocobos and stuff, and it just always didn't feel super great. It was cool when you went off and you just like swarmed the board, but his actually had like I think a better win con, and it was pretty sweet to watch him play like 7 forwards in 1 turn. It's just a shame the one time he got on stream he just couldn't find the rain.
He dug through like 2/3 of his deck before he could find the second rain because he had 1.
And I think he barely missed top 32.
Yeah, and he I want to say he finished 9th in the Soldier Series too.
I think that deck probably has a tough time against Ice.
Sure.
In general, just because the early discard is going to kind of disrupt you unless you can kind of get your stuff established. If they hit like your Warriors of Lights or even Zidane too, Zidane's going to mess with that deck a lot because it is a combo deck.
Yeah,
not many of those exist, and so there's a lot of moving pieces in that list. And if Zidane's able to rip your Warrior of Light or something like that along those lines, it's going to be pretty tough. Or your Rain.
Yeah. And it was exciting. And that's why I think too, like, and that's why the Asura was important to like get that forward back. It's only 2 or less.
Only
right?
2 or less.
Okay,
so you can't get back like the Warrior of Lights.
Yeah, and that sucks. And I think, and maybe again, it's his deck. He had a good weekend with it. And again, that's just the plight of when you play a combo deck. You either because he blew Andy Carmona up apparently in Swiss. Like Andy got 1 turn killed by the guy.
Yeah, I'm sure he did to a few people.
Probably, I'd be fair to say all of his wins were the 1 turn kill.
Yeah, but that was definitely like coolest deck of the weekend for sure.
Absolutely. And top 8 was pretty diverse. You had Earthwind with the ice cards that Kyle Peters like to play.
I think it's less diverse than you think.
Well, there were 2 mono waters.
2 mono ice, 2 mono waters, 2 ice earth.
And what else was... So that was...
So you had mono water for Soya, then you had Muhammad's mono water Veritas.
Which...
Yeah.
Let's stop and talk about that mono water for Soya deck for a second. That was the one from the Japanese that won the Earth Crystal Cup. And we talked about it with Colin Rupert on stream. He said that's the deck he was actually going to play this weekend. But Kevin wanted to play it, who actually ended up doing top 4. Do you think it was maybe like a meta call? Or because Colin said he thinks the deck is just extremely powerful.
It's still really good. It combos off and kills most things. It's also really good if you're thinking about a field of ice that's going to be a bunch of 7Ks.
Yeah. Now he did misplay pretty hard.
He did. It was pretty tough. Oki had to kind of navigate through that pretty hard.
Absolutely.
I mean, a lot of times he'd play something and it just died.
Yeah.
And they're able, with the ephemerals and stuff to swarm through. I was surprised that that Nick lost to it because I think Nick's deck was teched more. Nick had Shadow Lord in his deck.
Yeah.
And ephemerals and knights, that feels really good. Mm-hmm. But I heard Nick bricked game 3.
Oh, that's
kind of sucks, but it happens.
Yep. And then the other 2, we did have a Wind Water in top 8. That was
Mike Powell.
Yep. Shout outs to Mike Powell.
He's been playing better and better every time I've seen him.
Yeah, and he's playing the JFB list, slightly modified. I think he's on 2 Y'Stolas.
It's a good list.
Yeah, it's really, really strong. And trying to think who else rounded out. Yeah, Nick. So 2 mono ice.
2 mono ice, 2 mono water, 2 ice earth, which was Jim and Brian Liu.
Yep.
And then
we had Wind Water.
Kyle Peters was on Earth, Wind, and Ice, basically.
Yeah.
It was a few ice cards. It was like Sephiroth, Granola Vein.
Yeah, which is fine, because, it does pretty much the same thing the mono ice deck wants to do, except you can recur the Vein. You can actually play it off the Chaos or whatever. Mm-hmm. So, it's good. I thought the deck was good. He's been playing that. I know, Lopez played it in Tampa, at least that variation. I don't think it had Vein that time around.
Yeah, but Dodaluma's gone now, so that deck's going to change, too.
Yeah, big time. Big time. But overall, it was a good event, and don't let the bad. We were aware of the bad on from a stream standpoint, and again, we're sorry that happened. We know there was the big incident that happened from a gameplay and rules standpoint, but also don't forget that there was a lot of good. People had an excellent time. Nobody came up to me and said, "Hey, this weekend sucks. Mm-hmm. Fuck you guys. I'm never coming back."
Yeah,
there was none of that. And it's always great when the community gets together. There was a lot of fun. We, the hanging out. I had the Michigan guys, I had the Pennsylvania guys, Irvin and Jim at my Airbnb. We had a great time, just an absolute awesome time. And we love when everybody comes together. And it was really nice to have the community in our own backyard. And we wanted to show you that hospitality that that we have here. So thanks to everybody that came. Thanks to everybody that played in the events. We hope everybody had a good time. So, with that being said, we're going to wrap it up, but there's one last thing we want to talk about. We're going to go ahead and flip the gone fishing sign real quick. Adam, go ahead and talk for a minute, man.
Sure. So I'm a little burnt out, honestly, between my regular work and putting the stream on and getting ready for the stream and running the page and running the YouTube page and running the podcast. Mm-hmm. So I feel like personally I need a break. Mm-hmm. So you're not going to hear me for about a month, probably. Yeah. I'm definitely going to be back. I'm not quitting. John Schreiner's going to take my spot for a month. Mm-hmm. He's going to do the editing. He's going to, do all that stuff. I'll still probably help run the Facebook page and do some of the posting and stuff, but it'll be a lot more light work. I'll probably concentrate more on my regular job. Mm-hmm. And just some other stuff.
Well, and raiding. You're going to be raiding.
I'll be playing Fort. Well, the raid actually doesn't come out till the week of Gen Con.
Oh, jeez. Okay, so you're not doing that then.
No, I'm just gonna. I'll probably be casually playing with my friends. But I do want to spend some time playing some other stuff. I'll probably be at the pre-release this weekend, and after that, I'll probably take a short break from the game. Mm-hmm. But I'll definitely be ready for Gen Con for sure. Mm-hmm. I'll still be studying, making sure I'm ready for Limited, and make sure I have a constructed deck that I feel comfortable with.
Absolutely.
But I just want to take a backseat for a little bit, just to kind of relax. It's anything crazy. I'm still good, and I'll definitely be back. I'm not leaving.
Yeah, and we can honestly say Adam and I have been having this conversation for a long time. We've both been kind of burnt out. People who are in my group chats know that we're kind of bored with the game right now, and a lot of times it can just be the fact that the meta's changing, or we've been playing the same cards for a while, so it happens, right? But also too, you have noticed that we haven't put out a lot of videos lately. I have 3 literal 3/4 videos sitting on my computer that I just haven't had the time to finish and send to you because my work schedule changed because I took a new position. you just had so much on your plate that we couldn't add anymore. So it was like, well, I can't really send these to you. Thank God I'm not finished with them. And then adding Curtis. Curtis has been busy moving to Richmond. So like it's been busy, and I know what it's like to be burnt out.
And like, to be fair, like if I could do this and this was my job, I would do it.
We'd have videos and streams every day.
But I can't. I just monetarily, that's probably just not feasible.
Absolutely.
Maybe at some point we'll do like a Patreon thing, but even then, that's probably not gonna pay our bills, right? So, I definitely want to still do content. I still love the game. I still love the community. I just need a short break. That's really all it is.
Yep.
And you'll see me at Gen Con. Gen Con will probably be the week I start doing the podcast again. So it'll be really like 3.5 weeks.
Yeah. And, like I said, we couldn't have asked for a better guy to kind of fill the shoes. John Schreiner, no stranger to the cast. And one of the things that makes this podcast work is the fact that Adam and I have known each other for a long time, and we're able to kind of play off each other, and we know each other's tendencies, and we know how to have these conversations. Well, thankfully, John can kind of fill that gap as well, and he'll be just a great. And who knows? We've actually talked about turning it back into a 3-man cast like it was when we started.
It's definitely a possibility.
For those who've been listening to us since day one, the original people on the cast was me, you, and Drew.
Yep.
Drew stuck around for about 10 episodes. Then
not even.
So it was like 6 or 8 then. He was like 1 through 5.
Yeah, it was like 6. I think it was 6.
And then he came back, and then it was like, oh yeah, you're having twins. Well, it was nice while it lasted.
Yeah.
So maybe John will be the get that third man back. So that way, if somebody does need to take a break, the show can still go on.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what we need, because we definitely do this for you guys. We hate missing a week.
Yeah.
This came out late because I was having internet issues, and we were mad.
And then the week before that, to be fair, I was a bit burnt out, so we just.
I don't blame you. I was too. That's why she was like, "Do you want to do it?" I said, "Nope." Didn't even think twice about it.
So I don't want to make that a habit, and that's why I feel like if I just take a month for myself, and I trust John 100% to keep it going. He's been killing it on Wednesdays too. So. That's kind of where I'm at. Where I'd rather we have guaranteed 4 episodes for the next 4 weeks with you and John, and then I can take a break and then come back. I think that's so.
Exactly. And I'm a man of the people. You'll know when I'm done. So don't worry. But I'm not going anywhere anytime soon. I'm here to entertain the masses. That's what we're doing. So for now, Adam Lane has gone fishing. We're gonna flip the sign around. He's got his waders on. He's got his he's been at the bait shop.
I'm going to go put Final Fantasy 15 in the PS4.
Exactly. That's what he's going to go do. But guys, until next week, like I said, John and I will be on next week. We're going to go pretty much do the Opus 8 kind of retrospective. John is already pulling data from events going all the way back. Soon as he got the call up, he was like a Major League Baseball player coming up from AA. He told his parents, told everybody, he's in.
Next week the theme is going to be Wild Thing.
Oh, no. Well, we had this long-running joke about the Don and Ritz detective agency. Somehow it just turned to this, like, we're on the run from Kageyama because something happened, and like, we had to change our name to Don and Ritz. It's Don Schreiber and Ritz Abrams. And somehow we turned into, like, this pulp noir detective agency. So the intro for the next 4 weeks is going to be like this pulp noir. She walked in and I knew she was trouble. She had legs to her face. So it's gonna be wild. So don't think the good times are gonna stop. But Adam, you do what you've got to do. You enjoy what you need to enjoy. Come back with a fresh gusto. And like I said, we're gonna put something together sick for Gen Con, and we're gonna slam it. So
for sure. Yeah.
With that being said, we are signing off, guys. Thanks for listening, as always.
Yep. See you later.
Hey everybody, thanks for listening once again to the RVA Returners podcast. If you like this content and you want to hear more, check us out on YouTube at RVA Returners, and make sure you follow us on SoundCloud and check us out on Google Play and iTunes.